as we've said, I'm going to be talking about the use of mobile phones and the uptake of mobile phones in Papua New Guinea in recent years, just very briefly to kick us off. So, in Papua New Guinea, mobile phone service started in May 2002. That was when Telecom PNG launched what was an analogue service, what we would now refer to as a 1G or first generation service. That service was only available in Port Moresby and Lae, and in 2004 that service was replaced by a GSM service. That was the first digital service here, what we would now call a 2G or second generation service, and they called that B-Mobile, and that started to spread to some of the other major towns in the country as well. And Telecom PNG continued to have a monopoly in the mobile telephone space until 2007. In 2007, the ICCC, the Independent Consumer and Competition Commission, granted 2 additional licences to bring to a total of 3 the number of mobile phone licences in the country. From this time, July 1, 2007, when the 2 additional licences were launched, we had an expansion to rural areas of the network happening from that date, and this meant a rapid uptake in mobile phone use. This diagram that I've put up shows the number of mobile phone users in Papua New Guinea over the years. You can see that there was virtually no growth from 2003 to 2006, and in 2006 there were 100,000 mobile phone users in Papua New Guinea. There was big growth, as we've said, from July 1, 2007, with 2,700,000 users recorded in 2012, in a population, of course, of around 7 million. So you can see that the growth has been there in those recent years. Now we have 3 different providers in the country with those 3 licences. Digicel is, of course, the largest provider, both in terms of the number of users and also the network coverage, and that network coverage has reached out to rural areas, including many remote areas. B-Mobile, part of B-Mobile was sold by Telecom PNG a few years ago, and so it now has some other ownership as well, although it does still have some PNG government ownership. And B-Mobile, as you know, has tried a couple of times to get investors. Most recently it was very public that the deal with Vodafone Fiji fell through, so I think there's been some struggle that B-Mobile has felt to try and get funds to expand their network, and I think it's mainly still in urban areas and reaching out into maybe some peri-urban areas. Cityphone is the other licensee. Back in 2007, the 3rd licence was held by Greencom, a company which failed to offer any service, and then at a later date, Cityphone got that licence. That's a wholly owned Telecom PNG subsidiary. It started in mid-2011. I believe it's using the Telecom PNG infrastructure, so it's mainly operating in urban areas. So as we've said, mobile phone access has started since 2007. There's been rapid uptake, but I think it's important to note that people are still often in many parts of the country using quite basic handsets. While some of us perhaps in urban centres might have Blackberries or more advanced phones, many people in the country are still using fairly basic phones. There were some initial promotional deals that were offered by both Digicel and also B-Mobile, encouraging people to buy phones, and many people purchased Coral and Nokia 1100, Nokia 1200, those kinds of phones, and many people still use, I believe, those basic handsets in the country. To give you some figures on that, this diagram here shows the users in the law and justice sector that were included in the Law and Justice Sector project that Mr. James Hall just mentioned. In that sector, we were dealing with clerks at district courts and asking them to report in the information that they had from village courts. And you can see that over a third of those clerks had basic phones. That's phones with limited functionality. And nearly half of them had an advanced phone. That means a phone including a camera. Only a very few of them owned smartphones with internet access, Facebook access.